Case of the People versus Harry Murray. I'm welcoming this discussion. Mr. Murray is here pro se, having been qualified to act as such. Mr. McRoberts is here on behalf of the people of the state of New York. Any legal reason why sentence cannot be imposed?
No, Your Honor.
And anything you'd like to say?
A little bit, and you've been very patient in hearing people, but I am a professor, so if you need to cut me off. No, that's okay. Anyway, I really want to express gratitude that you have listened to us and not just listened, but I think seriously wrestled with what I think we all agree are some of the crucial issues that are facing this nation. Issues of the evils of the drones, issues of the meaning of civil disobedience, the meaning of law, the meaning of international law. And I also want to thank Mr. McRoberts because you have entered into what I would see as that larger discussion at times as well. And I think it's, from my experience, it's very rare for a prosecutor to enter into that larger discussion. And so I want you to know that I appreciate that. And so I don't want to repeat what other folks have said, but I want to briefly at least continue that discussion. As I've been listening tonight, we the defendants, I think, have talked about two models that are somewhat contradictory in terms of what we're doing. The model of civil disobedience and the model of obeying international law. And I'm not sure that I have answers there, but I just want to share a few reflections and respond to a few things. I think in some ways those models are contradictory, but in some ways I've acted out of both models. I do believe that what we did was in accordance with international law as reflected in the Nuremberg Principles and the United Nations Charter. But I've got to say, as I think in my heart, I believe I would have done the action even if I didn't believe that international law backed me up. Because I'm also acting out of faith, out of my faith as a Christian and out of the Catholic worker tradition. I do believe in civil disobedience as holy obedience. I believe that, as St. Peter said in the Acts of the Apostles, sometimes we must obey God rather than men. And the God that I believe in, and the God that I think speaks in different ways in all religions, tells us to love your enemy, to turn the other cheek, to not return evil for evil, not to kill. And I think as a person of faith, regardless of the legal status, I have to act in accordance with that law of God and to take the consequences. That brings me to Gandhi, and I want to reflect a little bit on some of the things you said about Gandhi. I have some disagreements with how you interpreted Thoreau, but maybe we can have another discussion about that some other time, because it's not as directly relevant. Gandhi's word, the word that he preferred for nonviolence was satyagraha, and I'm still not sure how to pronounce that. The traditional Hindu word was ahimsa, which literally means not hurting or nonviolence. But satyagraha has been translated variously. The translation that I prefer is truth force. Sometimes it's translated as soul force, because for Gandhi, truth is God. Truth is the most powerful force in the universe. And Gandhi firmly believed that if we act for truth, that ultimately truth will prevail against all kinds of violence, against against all force. And you are right that Gandhi did say that we should ask for the maximum penalty. But I think he didn't say it because receiving a penalty for civil disobedience is what generates publicity and gets the word out, that receiving penalty is, because I don't think he really believed that receiving the penalty was what gives civil disobedience its power, because what gives civil disobedience its power is truth and love. I think, as I read Gandhi, when he would ask the judge for maximum penalty, he did that in some senses as a challenge to the judge, that if you believe in the system, even if the system is upholding injustice, then you need to uphold the system. But that was also a challenge that if you believe there are times when the system has to be reformed because justice in that higher sense, in that biblical sense of justice is rolling down like the waters, like an ever-flowing stream, that you do have that option. And I think that that option can be as powerful a force for change. That you don't have the power to enforce international law per se. You do have the power to send a message to our government officials that I can't even enforce local laws if my government is acting in such an unconscionable, illegal fashion. That will change the law, but again, it's that small voice, the who's down in Whoville, giving our little yip. And I just think we are in a time when that yip is so much needed by all of us. And so I guess I would just conclude that in accordance with what Gandhi said, and in solidarity with Ellen, 2 decades ago, I served 90 days incarceration with her late husband, Peter. Just a wonderful person. And so I would have to ask for the 15-day sentence as well.
What you're referring to is, in some, in another term, is judicial activism.
Yes, I think that could be.
Which is always a debate in and of itself, whether that's the province of the legislative branch versus the judicial branch. And I've never heard any really, there's people on both sides of that issue. Let me ask you, I just want to take into account some other things. I know what you're requesting, but you've got some other duties, I would suspect, here as a professor, coming up very quickly.
Yes, I do. Actually, probably my students would be praying for a 15-day sentence. They will get an extension on a paper that's coming due next week.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sentence concurrently on the convictions. I'm just going to do a 1-year conditional discharge, conditions being stay out of further trouble with the criminal justice system, $250 fine, $125 surcharge, due by February 29, 2012. I will serve you with someone with notice that if it's willfully not paid, it will convert to a civil judgment. You do have the right to appeal the sentencing judgment of this court. If you wish to appeal it, you have to file a notice of appeal within 30 days. You do quickly with this court, and then perfect your appeal to the county court level. The forms are available for the notice of appeal on the New York Court's website or through the court office. Available
Thank you, Your Honor. I hope we'll be able to continue the discussion soon.
I wonder if this is going to torture your students, so.
You probably won't be in their prayers.